It's the 7 Hermetic principles, which are the principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, and the principle of gender. These are all very interesting ways of trying to organise all the data and the information that we've got in front of us, aren't they? So I'm guessing that the principle of vibration was where the law of attraction came from. Now, I have read the first one, the chapter 1, the Hermetic philosophy. The lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding, and the idea that we shouldn't cast pearls before swine. So, the 7 Hermetic principles. The principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possesses the magic key, before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. The Kybalion. The 7 Hermetic principles upon which the entire Hermetic philosophy is based are as follows, and I've literally just read them out to you. These 7 principles will be discussed and explained as we proceed with these lessons. A short explanation of each, however, may as well be given at this point. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. The Kybalion. Okay, which doesn't match the law of attraction, which says everything is feeling. How you're feeling lets you know what you're doing with your mind. This principle embodies the truth that all is mind. It explains that the all, which is the substantial reality underlying all the outward manifestations and appearances we know under the terms of the material universe, the phenomena of life, matter, energy, and in short, all that is apparent to our material senses, is spirit, which in itself is unknowable and undefinable, but which may be considered and thought of as an universal, infinite living mind. It also explains that all the phenomenal world or universe is simply a mental creation of the all, subject to the laws of created things, and that the universe as a whole, and in its parts or units, has its existence in the mind of the all, in which mind we live and move and have our being. This principle, by establishing the mental nature of the universe, easily explains all of the varied mental and psychic phenomena that occupy such a large portion of the public attention, and which, without such explanation, are non-understandable and defy scientific experiment. An understanding of this great Hermetic principle of mentalism enables the individual to readily grasp the laws of the mental universe, and to apply the same to his well-being and advancement. The Hermetic student is enabled to apply intelligently the great mental laws, instead of using them in a haphazard manner. With the master key in his possession, the student may unlock the many doors of the mental and psychic temple of knowledge, and enter the same freely and intelligently. This principle explains the true nature of energy, power, and matter, and why and how all these are subordinate to the mastery of mind. One of the old Hermetic masters wrote long ages ago, "He who grasps the truth of the mental nature of the universe is well advanced on the path to mastery." And these words are as true today as at the time they were first written. Without this master key, mastery is impossible, and the student knocks in vain at the many doors of the temple. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I'll quickly read you the principle of correspondence, as above, so below, as below, so above. The principle of vibration, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. The principle of polarity I find an interesting one. Everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. The principle of rhythm, everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. And rhythm compensates. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law, but not recognised. There are many planes of causation, but nothing escapes the law. principle of gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. It's the healing card. Isn't that lovely? Okay, healing. Maybe this is healing, listening to someone else talk about their stuff. I don't know. Is it healing to help you listen to me chat through my stuff that's happened and recognise from my experience? I don't know what it is that you shouldn't be doing, at least, you know. At least you look at me and think this is how not to do it. Or you look at me and think, oh yeah, actually that worked, I'm going to do that. Okay? So feel free. The things that I've attracted this week, and I know why, because I have felt very stressed out and tense and anxious more than usual for various reasons. And this is where the law of attraction says don't do it, don't speak, don't say all the things that you're going to complain about. Don't do it. People don't want to hear it. My new YouTube channel, this one, the one that I'm focusing on, I couldn't decide whether to use it for coincidence or chatting about my book or talking about the law of attraction or talking about therapy things or talking about my stuff. Right? In other words, no one wants to hear about my stuff. No one does unless they're learning from it. Can you learn from me and my experiences? And do I need to write a script of how to do things? I probably do. So I probably need to be more organised with my YouTubing, and I promise I will try. And that's all you can do, isn't it? You can just try to do your best and then try to improve on what you're doing. And I feel as though I've got something in my brain that's missing that can't understand the technology. Now, bear with me a minute, dear lovely YouTube watchers. It could be age related. It could be, as in, a lot of young people now don't know how to convert miles to yards to meters, or, you know, that sort of thinking. Your brain doesn't need to have it, does it? Now anymore. It's things you just don't need to be able to compute anymore. How much change am I expecting from this purchase? I'm going to give £10. How much change am I expecting back for something that's cost me £6.35? Youngsters often don't have that naturally in their brain because they haven't spent lots of hours learning it. And I feel this tech thing, I've got a gap in my information, right? So because I haven't absorbed the knowledge and the learning, I honestly feel like I've got a part of my brain that just won't absorb it. Probably because I believe that, because it holds little to no interest to me. And I can remember when my old IT guy used to come round and he used to tell me why it wasn't working, what happened. I just wasn't interested, and I would have paid him double not to tell me why I wasn't interested. That's how not interested in it I was. I used to want to not waste his time telling me because I didn't care and I was never going to remember what he'd said, and it had no relevance to me why these things happen. Was that where I went wrong? About 20 years ago I should have started learning. Is that what happened? Anyway, the thing that happened to me this week was, well, it was the culmination of something that's been brewing for a few weeks. My window winder stopped working on my car. My electric window on the driver's side packed up a few weeks ago. It's probably more than that now. It's probably a couple of months ago, but it doesn't really bother me. I don't really need it. I can handle it. I don't really need to open the windows. No rush to get that fixed. But I did go into the garage and say, my window's not working. And they said, oh yeah, it's the window regulator. I didn't look at my car. I said, it's the window regulator. You need to buy one of these. And I'm like, well, we can't buy a second-hand part for you. You can't get the part because it's an old car. So you're going to have to buy your own part. Okay. I'll send you a quote for how much it will cost you. You know, you just go and buy the part. Right, okay. He sent me a quote for a couple of £100 and telling me what part it needed. So I went on eBay, looked at the parts. They sold me the part for £50, no returns. When it arrived, it had Suzuki R written on it, which is my card. And then took it back to the garage, showed him the part, and he said, no, actually I didn't. I phoned up and said, can I make an appointment, please? Right, so this is like the third time I've spoken to him. I've spoken to him once when I went there, once on the phone, second time on the phone, second time going down there. And he looked at it and he said, yeah, that's the wrong part. Having no interest in looking at my car or looking at what the actual issue was, I just felt like I was being given the runaround. So I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I put the part back in my car, drove home, went and found another mechanic. I thought, this can't be right. It didn't feel right, you know. Went and found another mechanic who didn't speak English as his first language, but he's got great reviews on Google. popped the car into, no, made an appointment, popped in to see him, made an appointment, take the car back, took the car back, he took it off me, and he had the car fixed the same day, and it wasn't the window regulator, it was where the car hinge had been wearing away, it needed welding, and it was pushing on the mechanics off the window, so he fixed it same day, done. Now I've brought the car back and I've got a window that works again. But I've now also got this part that cost me 50 quid that I can't return, right? Right. He explained to me law of attraction, what's happened there, what has happened, what have I got my own mind in my subconscious that says mechanics want to give me the runaround and want to mess me about. Why would they want to do that? That's nothing to do with me, it's everything to do with them. But why have I attracted that into my world? Because I'm believing something along the lines of, I don't know anything about mechanics, I'm a bit scared of garages, I'm terrified something's going to happen to my car and I'm not going to be able to use it, and then voila, I'm just messed about and I'm beginning to run around and haven't got a window for weeks, right? And then the next day, get up and there's all this banging and drilling and somebody digging a pavement up outside. I'm not kidding you. Step out the front door, literally can't get out the door because they've dug up the road and put new tar down. Just as I'm stepping outside, that literally the barrier's there and the tar machine is outside the front door. They're going to do a whole stretch of the road. The work goes for miles. What are the chances of me wanting to get out just right at that very moment where that's happening? Pretty sure that I was ruled into their expectation of, oh God, I hope none of these people want to come out of their house while we're doing this stretch, because it's a stretch of businesses. It's a busy stretch. There's a chemist, there's a little music bar, little shops. There's lots of people coming in and out all the time. The chances of me stepping out right at that moment as it's outside, it's quite highly unlikely, honestly. But there we go, I did. That happened. And I just carried on. And I kept carrying on, just trying to clear my mind as I was doing it, so not reacting, not thinking anything of it, just getting through the obstacles, just carrying on, not building on the stress, trying to bring down the stress levels, right? And it just was one thing after another. Everything I did was a stress. It just was, right? Went to the post office, pick up a parcel that I'd ordered of my books. Let me just mention my book again, do love the YouTube. It's called Synchronicity and it's 80,000 words on coincidence and synchronicities. You can wait for me to put these YouTube videos on so I can read it to you. Please do feel free. But if you fancy just liking this video and clicking the subscribe button and ordering my book on Amazon, that would be fantastic. So I went round to the post office to collect the books. 4 books are surprisingly heavy, and I'd also ordered some legal notepads, and obviously if you order more then they're cheaper. So I had a big pack of legal notepads, a big box of 4 of my books, because people have ordered them, people that I know, they want me to, well, there's a woman over the road who runs a hairdresser's, and people she speaks to in hairdressers are interested and she sells them, so I take them over to her rather than them having to look on Amazon themselves. And it was just stressful. I won the lottery and they sent me a cheque for £10, paid that into the post office. You have to fill in a little form, put it in an envelope, give it to the person. There were like 4 people queuing behind me by the time I'd finished picking up the parcel, because I couldn't find the QR code on my phone. The second parcel, couldn't find the email telling me that the parcel was there, but the bloke knows me, he gave up, he just let me have my parcel. So I let the other 4 people go, because I knew I was going to be annoying. And then it started raining. Now, if I hadn't let those 4 people go, I might have got home before it rained. But never mind. So I was carrying all these stuff which were heavy, and it's like it was weighing on my arms, and I'd put a coat on. I was too hot, because it's summer, even though it's raining, and the wind is a bit chilly, and the weather's, we're not sure about it, it's not actually that cold. So I'd accidentally put a coat on, Mac, to stay dry. I was too hot, I was carrying all these heavy parcels, I was traipsing back home, jumping across the wet tar to get back into my house, and I felt like I was in a version of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Honestly, that's how it felt. Like just going through all these obstacles. I'm like, why is all this happening at the same time? Now I know there are people on the planet who are dodging bombs and missiles, and there are people who are dodging wildfires, and a lot worse things are going on out there. I realise this. My little area where I live is usually peace, calm, happiness incarnate, right? It's like a perfect place to live almost. But on this day and these weeks, everything seems to be amped up. The stress levels amped up. So I didn't sleep very well, missed my swimming, couldn't get up early to go swimming, makes me feel worse. And then it's like a cycle. Then you're stuck in that, oh God, I haven't been swimming, I haven't done the exercise, I feel lethargic, I feel tired. And then you just go downhill. And I'm aware that this is happening. So now tomorrow I'm going to a special day at the gym with one of my friends who's got a day pass to a posh gym where they've got a lovely sauna and spa and all that. So I'm going to treat myself in the afternoon and go along and do that, get some rest and relaxation. Because I realise it is the thing with the mechanics that started the stress levels rising, and then the thing with the people digging up the roads has compounded that. Trying to pick books up and organise those, that's another level of stress. And that all the levels of stress just pile on, don't they? And we have to stop and let go of them. Say, no, I'm going to heal myself, I'm going to be calm, and I'm going to really appreciate the peace and calm that I'm surrounded by most of the time. Most of the time, peace and calm. Thanks for watching, dear lovely YouTube. Now, if there's anyone out there who wants to come and join me on my channel and have a little chat about coincidence or near-death experience or their experience with spirit or the afterlife or what they believe happens, what the purpose of life is, let me know. Drop me a comment, because I'd love to be able to have a little chat. I do also have Black Cat Tarot, where I do readings for these little crystal elephants. I've got these little different crystal elephants which are different elephant tarot cards. For each of the elephant, there's the pink elephant, the lilac elephant, the red elephant. For people who believe in different things about life, spiritual elephants. Some people believe that we're here for spiritual purposes. Some people believe we're just here for physical purposes. Some people believe in the mentalism that you can make things happen depending on what you think. And some people believe that how you feel matters. And maybe it is a combination of all of those things, right? That's how we get through it. But we have to figure out what works for us. Because it could be that we're all on different paths and all needing to do different things, right? And then we follow other people and we think, oh, that's what I need to do. Actually, that isn't right for you. And that's how we figure out what works for us, isn't it? Generally by trying it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.